Happy Monday, everyone. Almost said Tuesday. Kicking off the week with some migrations. MYRO's migrating. The market took an absolute dumpster dump and is now finding its way back, just as it always does. Man, it feels good to be here today. The Moo migration also just completed, and their token is now live and trading. So a lot going on behind the scene, as well as Motion just went live alongside MYRO. So 4 active migrations here at this time. Chris, how are we feeling today?
Yo, migration summer. I'm hearing some murmurs of migration summer, but man, we're feeling good. I mean, the market is just going to be the market, but the boys are going to be here cooking for eternity. We're not going anywhere. Feels good. I think that all these teams that are migrating right now, they're kind of getting it out of the way so that when the market does return, they're ready to rock. They're in the best position that they've ever been in and ready for that next phase of the market. So I'm feeling good. I hope that all the migrating teams and everyone else out there is staying safe and feeling good, but we're ready to rock here, baby. How you feeling, Jake?
That we are, man. Yeah, it's been a busy morning. Had a little bit of we had to make some updates to the snapshot module for the Migrate Fund protocol with Moo. 80,000 wallet addresses holding a token when the migration ended. Kind of crazy. Makes you wonder how many of those are actually dead. I think they ended up with like 500 initial migrators in the beginning. I wonder how many will be coming here through late claims. I can tell you it's probably not 79,000. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if there's that many people left in crypto, but we'll see. 79,000.
Yeah, MYRO will get this experience once that sell period happens. A lot of people come flooding into the chat. We are with one of the OG meme coins, MYRO, who just began their migration 2-week period. How's it going, MYRO?
Hello, good evening. Yeah, can you guys hear me all good?
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear. We've got about 100 people on the live stream. We got some people here hanging out in the spaces. We're going to be doing some tutorials, walking through everything migration. First and foremost, I would love to know, just starting from the top, tell us a little bit about MYRO, the history of MYRO, as another OG meme coin who came out and is going to be making your way to Pump. We'll talk about a lot of that stuff later, but first and foremost, we should just get into the history of the project.
Absolutely. No, yeah. So MYRO is, I think it was probably the second meme coin on Solana to really take off and kind of kick off that Solana meme season that we all saw and loved very much throughout 2024 and 2025. We launched in November of 2023, hit an all-time high of $450 million with a USDC liquidity pool. And MYRO is essentially the co-founder of Solana. Raj is Raj's actual dog, actual real-life dog. Named after him. He's got plenty of tweets up on his Twitter and pictures of him. He's a cute good boy. I think he's 5 years old now, coming up to 5 years old, or coming up to 5 and a bit. And we're migrating on the 22nd. Migration just opened right now, actually, but our actual token goes live on the 22nd. And we are super excited. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons of why we're migrating, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what about so MYRO, right? It's one of the Solana co-founders' dogs. I believe MYRO is a token that predates PumpFun during that initial kind of meme coin run that took place in early or summer of 2023. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. MYRO literally predates pretty much everything that we see in today's general meme coin market. We were before PumpFun, we were before Bags, we were before a lot of stuff. Back in the day, there was just Radium, Meteora, and Orca, and that was it.
Orca, wow.
Yeah, Orca is it is fun. I like what you've done here. I have here on the live stream pulled up kind of branding. Pretty good header there. Right, moving over to Pump, migrating soon. Now we got 2 weeks to notify all the community members. MYRO is an interesting migration because about 40% of the supply is on centralized exchanges. That kind of shows how early it really was, because there was no PumpFun and limited dexes, so everybody was just trading on centralized exchanges and kind of moving over. What was it like running one of the first kind of meme coins in that initial, hype era?
It was honestly like so fun. It was genuinely like the best time, I think, in the space for meme coins. I mean, things were taken off left, right, and center. People, you can hold overnight. You can buy a coin and leave it for like 2-3 weeks and forget about it and come back and you've made money. Obviously, today is a very different market, but it was really nice. I mean, there was basically no other competition, I guess we could call it. Not really competition, but no other big meme coins about. Whiff came after us by a couple days, PopCat by a few weeks, Moo by I think a few days as well, like 3 or 4 days. So yeah, like MYRO really, really kicked off the first couple of days in Solana. We hit like, I think it was like $8 or $9 million market cap in like the first 4 or 5 days. And that was like unheard of for Solana. And I still remember like writing up all the tutorial as to like how to download Phantom and how to bridge. And we had a lot of people from ETH bridging over to Solana and how do I buy, how do I use Jupiter, how do I use Radium? This is like maybe a little bit before Jupiter was very mainstream as well. So it was very, very OG, like pretty much the OG dog apart from Bonk. But Bonk, we all know, is just a giant Solana coin and forever will be. But as like newcomers, MYRO was the first dog and pretty much the first meme coin to pretty much really pop off on Solana back in 2023 and early 2024.
Chris, were you trading MYRO as one of the early Solana OGs in the ecosystem?
Hey, I think that I'm an OG MYRO holder for a period of my career on Solana. So I feel like there was like a centralized exchange. Like I know you have the Solana colors, but it's kind of taking me back. Is that like, did you, the colors on your logo, was that from a different logo? Was it maybe the early Radium days or something like that? That gradient, I know it's the Solana gradient, but it seems super familiar for a different reason.
Yeah, it was just like an old gradient, old like Solana kind of branding logo that we kind of took off.
The first phase of gradient, huh?
Yeah, kind of just for that.
That's what it reminds me of. Man, do you have any funny stories or crazy stories about maybe some of those peaks? What was it like to be behind the wheel? Did you see anything crazy within the community? What were maybe some highlights, if you don't mind?
Some highlights. Really just experiencing, like from a dev perspective, like experiencing how like die hard a community can get and how hard people are willing to work for their bags is just amazing. Like the MYRO community we had back in early 2024 was just amazing. Like we had so many hundreds and hundreds of thousands, like thousands of likes on tweets, hundreds of thousands of views on tweets. Like the support we just had was insane. And like being one of the first, it was like a really like wake up call, like, oh shit, like Solana's really powerful. This can really be like a huge, huge blockchain. And also like meme coins in general can pop off like crazy. And obviously that's what ended up happening, as we can see. But yeah, I don't know, funny stories. I don't really know if I can talk about any fun
number
stories.
going up.
It's just
yeah, just a crazy.
It was all very surreal. It was all very surreal. And I think now looking back at it, we had it really easy back then. Everything was a lot more easy, a lot more simple, a lot more toned down. You just buy on Phantom or something and that's it. Nowadays you have all these different tools and scanners and hundreds of different tools and ways to buy and trade meme coins. And the average hold time on Solana is like 20 seconds. So it's just a completely different market, completely different times.
So funny that you were like, you were comfortable enough holding overnight. I mean, what a difference a couple of years could make. But also to paint the picture, Tolly was always in the background back in those days, and Raj was actually the most front and center co-founder. So like being Raj's dog was actually a bigger deal than being today what would be Tolly's dog. So it was like a really, really massive token back then. It was huge.
100%. Yeah, no, I mean, I remember the first time after we launched that Raj tweeted a picture of his dog and tweeted, kind of references to MYRO. And it was just amazing. And it's like, Raj is definitely one of those, he used to be very popular in terms of like, he was really public. He was tweeting a lot. He was like the kind of face, like co-founder of Solana. And I think that's like part of the reason why we really blew up. But then, Tolly started to be a lot more open in posting projects and tweeting about things and replying to community and stuff. I think he was really trying to build Solana into, you know, this kind of easy way that you could just tweet and talk about meme coins like that. But at the same time, I feel like Tolly's impact on meme coins right now is a lot lower than it was a long time ago. I remember when he posted tweets about like Tolly the Dragon, I think it was something like that. You know, every time he tweets something, a coin would go crazy. But nowadays, Tolly is not so popular or powerful, let's say. But in contrast, Raj barely tweets. So a tweet from Raj is like a really, really big thing now, which is kind of a good way of how we're positioned at the moment as Raj's dog. If we do, hopefully soon, end up getting tweet or references or support from Raj, or you know, a picture of his dog on his Twitter or something, I feel like that would really, really send us, you know, more than ever.
What was it like being in the Solana dev community back then? Because there wasn't too many early developers. You were more on the meme side of it, but like, what was the interactions like, or what was kind of the early dev community like back then? Because it was very, very small.
It was really small. It was really, really small. And on top of that, it was really private in the way that, you know, meme coins back then were kind of ran by, let's say, shadow teams in a way. So back in when we launched MYRO, we weren't public about like our actual like team identities or like our main Instagram, main Twitters or main Telegrams or anything like that. And I feel like people kind of like that because there has to be like a sense of mystery, a sense of like, you know, speculation. Oh, who is the team? Are they behind this project? Are they behind this project? You know, are they millionaires? Are they billionaires? You know, whatever. And I think that kind of speculation was really nice. Whereas nowadays, people want to see a lot more transparency. People want to know who the devs are. People want to know who the team is. You know, people want that kind of transparency to know who's behind certain projects. But back in the day, like the circle was so small. It was like a handful of guys. I'm in a couple of Telegram group chats, like a handful of the developers from like Whiff and Popcat and obviously Mumu as well and stuff like that. You know, the circle was so small and it was so niche. But nowadays, obviously, it's so much different, so much competition.
Yeah, there definitely is. We're definitely gonna have to get Raj to engage with the MYRO migration. I'm gonna put some posts out here as well. We do have officially 5 or so people have migrated so far. Yep, 5 people have migrated so far. As we know, MYRO is quite distributed. We're gonna have some tutorials out today as well. I know Adam had just recorded, he's gonna hop on here in a second. He just recorded a video for MYRO, so he'll be posting that, as well as we're gonna be posting some content from the Migrate Fund page to begin activating all of the users, sending out DMs. It's quite an extensive process, especially for some of the more OG projects themselves, but we are officially on the board and we got 2 weeks to go. There's a lot going on with the MYRO migration, as a lot of centralized exchanges are evolved, delisted tokens, kind of, etc. But you have done an incredible job on the website and going through why to migrate, where to buy, etc. So let's start with that process now. You launched before any standards were created. In the website, it says this is not a rebrand or a pivot, it's a cleaner foundation, and you go on to give a few reasons. But from, you know, your eyes, ears, and mouth, would love to understand why a migration is important for MYRO and kind of what to expect post-migration and why go to Pump over any other ecosystem.
Absolutely, yeah. So some stuff on the website is still being updated, but I'll run through it. So basically, there's a handful of reasons why we decided to migrate MYRO from Radium, where the liquidity is currently at, over to PumpFun. So back in the day when we launched, we made this, in retrospect, very, very terrible mistake. Instead of pairing our liquidity with Solana, we actually paired it with USDC. And the trouble with that was when we launched, Solana was around, I think, $38 or $39, something like that. And we were kind of thinking, well, I guess we weren't thinking about the future of Solana and, expecting Solana to have such a crazy run up that it already, had up to almost $300. So we just did our liquidity in USDC. We thought it'd be more stable. A lot of meme coins on ETH did that back in the day. A lot of meme coins on BNB also the same thing. So we just did, our initial liquidity in USDC. Now, unfortunately, that held us back quite a lot. So that's essentially the main reason why we didn't break that $1 billion mark compared to other meme coins with a Solana pool. Essentially, when Solana went up, almost 5x from when we launched, the liquidity didn't multiply either in that same way. So in a sense, MYRO is kind of this hedge protecting people from the price fluctuations of Solana. Like if Solana went up, MYRO's market cap wouldn't go up, but also if Solana went down, MYRO's market cap wouldn't be affected either. But it's kind of, it ended up hurting us more in the end of the day because we didn't capture all the upside potential of Solana that it had. And it really limited, how high we could go market cap wise. But that's obviously the main reason for the migration. The second reason, also relating to liquidity, is because we're over 2.5 years old, we've actually accumulated so much liquidity fees, so many LP fees in the liquidity pool that the liquidity is actually just too thick. Like the LP pool is just way too thick. Our ratio is absolutely insane. I mean, if you look at the MYRO market cap right now, it's at 2.6 million, and we have, almost $700,000 in liquidity. Now, that's good if you want a stable coin, but not good if you want, upside potential on meme coins. So one of the main reasons we're migrating liquidity as well is also to balance that out. So the new liquidity will be a lot less than that, which means when people actually buy, let's say $2,000 worth, the market cap actually goes up and doesn't just, barely get affected. Obviously because we launched way before PumpFun and creator fees were a thing and, claiming, LP fees and whatever, without burning them was a thing. We had no choice but to burn the liquidity. So we had no access to anything forever, no access to LP fees, no access to any fees at all, and no access to the liquidity itself, which has really harmed us. So that's another reason for the migration.
Yeah. Also that you're a USDC pool, stablecoin pool, a little bit different. I know PumpFun just launched USDC pools, but if you're a meme coin, typically you're looking for that volatility, and the USDC pool has helped you on the downside, right? As the market kind of falls apart, but on the upside, right, you don't get to catch that volatility when the price of Solana rises. I guess one question. Go ahead.
The migration is actually in perfect timing because Solana's, it was at $65 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So by migrating now, we basically capture all the upside potential that we didn't do before. So let's say if Solana goes back to $300 in, I don't know, let's say 2 years, we capture all of that upside now. So we don't make the same mistake as we did before. We actually get to benefit from Solana's price rising over the next few years.
Absolutely. So we do have a question here from somebody on the live stream. When will MFT holders be able to claim the new MYRO? The migration process explains. Yeah, MYRO, MFT, new MYRO. But I can only find the official timeline when the new MYRO token goes live in late claims. So the migration's open for 2 weeks. Actually, here, if you go to the website, you'll see for MYRO, first make sure you could always verify the creator. See where it says migrate, and then off to the side, there's a details page as well. So you could go ahead and click on the details page, and it'll showcase everything from when the migration goes live, when it ends, so on and so forth. So there's the details page. We're doing 2 weeks, right? Mumu did 1 week. They felt a little bit more confident, or they had a lot of the community aligned, getting ready to migrate and kind of push through. MYRO, everything's a little bit more dispersed. So we went with the 2 week option. But again, when the migration ends, call it like the early migration window. So those who migrate in this 2-week period in the early migration window will get a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you own 1% of the MYRO supply and migrate it now, you'll get 1% of the supply. If you migrate after the 22nd, when the new token launches, you'll receive a 15% reduction, which acts as a penalty for showing up late. And then that is off of the amount. So if you migrated the equivalent of 1 million tokens, if you migrate later in the late window, then there's a 15% penalty. That's utilized to encourage people to migrate, and it works quite effectively. So you'll migrate now, you'll get your MFT, the token relaunches on the 22nd. The reason why we do that is because when you're migrating during this 2-week window before the token launches, outside of some technical stuff for PumpFun, if we were just distributing the new tokens without a liquidity pool, then whoever you hand those tokens to are just going to go set up their own liquidity pool, which means that they get to determine what the market cap is. And I don't think you want that in the hands of holders, because they're going to set it up as $1 or they're going to set it up as $10 trillion, and it just completely ruins the entire experience. So the MFTs are essentially, they're called migrate fund tokens. They're just placeholders. When you do get an MFT, they will auto hide. We actually just got set up with a call with Phantom today to try to fix this issue. It's been ongoing for quite a while. But once you get your MFTs, they're auto hidden because there's no value. But if you just go into Phantom, you can unhide them. If they're hidden or you're concerned that you didn't get them, you can always check SoulScan with your wallet address and it'll appear in there. So that is a little bit of a UI thing for some of those people. For some, it seems like it happens to some, it doesn't happen to others. So it's really, I guess, kind of more of like, I guess, your wallet reputation or so. Adam has joined us on the live stream, and I'm going to bring him up on stage, who just finished a MYRO migration. How'd it go?
MYRO is no problem. we had issues earlier in the day. I don't know if Jake went through it, but we went through. It is what it is, man. This stuff is not technically easy. Thank God we have awesome devs who can fix stuff fast. And challenges, man. It's busy morning. What time is it? It's almost noon here, and I've been going since 6 a.m., man. So it's awesome, man.
How many coffees you got?
I'm on my deep into my second pot right now, bro.
So I did just put a post out from the Migrate Fun account about the migration. So if you're in here, make sure you go ahead and repost it. Try to get Raj interacting with it. Obviously, that would be the most bullish thing, is getting the Solana co-founder to engage with the migration of his own dog and spread some awareness. So make sure you go ahead and do that. If anyone ever has any questions about the migration, you could feel free to post questions. If you're in Spaces, that purple button in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're on the live stream, like the MTG, you could just ask there, or just feel free to reach out to us at any point in time. We have migrated, now it's going to be over 80 projects by the end of the month, about 50 of them to Pump, but we have migrated all across the different ecosystems, including from Ethereum, which Bobo migrated from Ethereum to Solana. So we're happy to answer any questions. It is a new process, but it is becoming much more formalized as more migrations happen, adoption grows. There's been over 30,000 unique wallets that have migrated. So that's a pretty substantial amount, especially considering Migrate Fund has only existed in a bear market. It launched in September, and Solana's done 9 straight red candles since the migration launch. So maybe we are the cause of the bear market itself. But it's a good opportunity, as the MYRO team said, right? Thin liquidity. You get to recapture some of the token supply to use for rewards. You revive the ecosystem, the exchanges, which is the most complicated process of all of it. Become a lot more active and lively, and it gives you an opportunity for a giant attention event. In 2 weeks, when all of the MYRO tokens are sold, then you'll see a lot of the other holders come back and ask what happened to the token, right? What about MYRO on SEX? We're in conversations with MYRO, with the different centralized exchanges. LBank has announced, and there are some other ones like Mexi and such. My recommendation, though, is to pull it off the exchange and migrate on chain. You'd be doing the MYRO team a big service. The more people who are participating on chain, the more likely it is for others people to migrate on chain, which then means speculators and buyers come in and buy up the token, which then means that the price is going to likely increase over time. So if you look at like something like the unicorn migration that just took place, UWU, they end up getting like 50% of their tokens migrated in the first day. They started their migration at 700,000 and they're currently sitting at 10 million literally a month later as of today. So quite a drastic run up. And it really all comes down to the amount of people participating on chain. When people see that migration number going up at a pretty increasing rate, especially once it gets around like 25, 30%, then it really signals to everybody else that, you know, this is really going to take place. Obviously with MYRO, I think we counted there's about 40% of the supply on exchanges, which we are coordinating with. But there is no guarantee that the exchanges will participate. They are kind of their own cartels. And, you know, you try to get them to play ball, but sometimes they just don't want to. Sometimes they don't listen or whatever. Sometimes they take longer. For a centralized exchange that does participate, they will migrate it on your behalf. So they will they generally pause deposits and withdrawals during the time. And some will pause trading as well. And then we basically have to go through our own process with them. They have to go through an audit. And sometimes it could take 1 to 2 weeks for them to swap out those tokens. So if you don't want to wait that long or, you know, put your tokens at risk, we recommend withdrawing from the exchanges, put them in a Phantom wallet, and then go to the platform and you click literally 1 to 2 buttons. MYRO will be posting a tutorial video on how to migrate on chain literally after this show is over. And it's really that simple. So it's just as much as we want the price of the number go up, you want to get the migrator number to go up. Mumu just finished with, I think, close to 500 users migrating on chain. And no doubt you're probably going to get another 500 now since that sell candle has happened. So just, yeah, participate on chain. Make sure to post about it. Again, you could tag Raj, right? I guess that's kind of like one of the initiatives, getting him to engage with it. But just making sure that people are aware of the migration is the biggest significant lift.
Did you guys ever send Raj any of the supply? How was the launch? Maybe take us back to those early days and just kind of like what it was like. I know Raj was super intertwined in the communities back then, super active in the chat. What was the launch like, and maybe any experience like actually interacting with Raj directly?
You see, the thing is with Raj, Raj and Tolly are pretty much like polar opposites, right? Tolly is very like outgoing and open, and he'll tweet anything, he'll post anything, and he'll show anything. But Raj is a lot more reserved. He's a lot more quiet. He likes to do things strategically. We never sent Raj any supply because, well, he didn't have any public wallets, and we never actually have had a direct like conversation with Raj, a direct conversation, or like a DM chain or anything. But the way that you reach Raj is like indirectly in the sense that, you know, he likes to see things getting built. Like, for example, when we started building our mobile app, just in development, he followed our dedicated Twitter account for that mobile app. And, you know, he posted a couple pictures of MYRO a few months later after launch, and a few days after launch, and a few months. So Raj is very kind of indirect in the way he shows things and the way he supports projects. But in all honesty, I prefer it that way because you kind of have to like work harder for it. He makes you work hard. He makes you earn his support and you know, publicity, I guess. So it's not like, here, just send him, you know, 3% of supply or whatever, or 5% of supply, and he's going to post you 20 times. It doesn't work like that with Raj. His posts and his shills are worth a lot more than just a little bit of supply. He wants to see people's trust. He wants people to earn his trust, essentially.
Sure. How about the launch? What was your guys' expectations? Did you manage to get any of the supply? Launching back then, before PumpFun, was a totally different ball game. Trying to remember, but I don't even think that Phantom had swaps live yet on the wallet interface. I'm pretty sure we had to go to Radium on the actual Radium interface and buy it pretty much like it was a centralized exchange. So maybe take us to launch day. What were your expectations? How did the team react? And then what was kind of the outcome there?
So yeah, obviously back in November 2023, it was entirely different. We didn't have PumpFun, we didn't have a lot of the tools and the kind of apps and bots that people use today. So it was very old school. It was literally like, here's the contract address, go to Radium, paste it in there, set your slippage, and do everything the manual way. Which, to be honest, is a lot more fun for me personally. I think it's a lot more fun, a lot more OG. But it was a lot more, manual. You got to input everything yourself, add it to Phantom yourself, add in your CA and stuff like that. So it was very difficult and different. But the thing is with us, we didn't launch in the way people launch today. So nowadays, if most successful coins, they bundle a huge amount of supply and they roll with it from there. We didn't bundle anything. We didn't snipe. We didn't literally do anything like that. We essentially treated MYRO as a startup, which is what most meme coins were like back in the day. We provided our own liquidity, obviously in USDC, and bought our own tokens on chain. We barely had, as a team, we barely had 10%. I think we had like 8%. And we just roll with it naturally. We did what we could with our supply. Like 99% of that went straight towards marketing, paying for things, paying for influencers, KOLs, promos and sharing about and stuff like that. Development, we spent 6 figures developing our mobile app, which is still in development, of course. But yeah, like literally as a team, we basically saw like none of that supply personally. We essentially just put it all in as like a startup basically and just use that supply just to push MYRO. And I think that's one of the main reasons it reached so high. Obviously it's a shame it couldn't go higher because of the pool stuff, but we're here to fix that.
That we are. That's what we are to come fix. So we're still, we've got about 6 people who've migrated. So I know it'll be kind of trickling in here. I see Mumu has successfully migrated and is trading. And yeah, some people, I saw some other questions kind of pop up. I saw one pop up about MFTs. There is a video, maybe I'll pin it up to the top, where if your MFT is hidden, then you just have to unhide it in your wallet. But we are finally in contact with the Phantom team to try to get that fixed here pretty shortly.
I'll find it. I did put it in the how-to video. If you look at the Mumu how-to video, if you don't see your MFTs, if you skip to the end of that video, there's a little explainer in there, but I'll post another one here as well, just so you did. If the transaction completed and you got that end screen, they're definitely in there. It's just these wallets hide these tokens typically, so it's just like 2 buttons to get them on hidden.
The valueless tokens themselves.
I think that back then, smaller NFT communities were like much more popular throughout that kind of like bear market era and things like that. And meme coins definitely weren't. Did you consider launching an NFT at some point? What was the kind of mind share of like the NFT versus the meme coin community back then when you launched?
We did consider launching an NFT collection as like part of the meme coin, kind of like after launch, like a couple months down the line. But in all honesty, we kind of saw NFTs not really lasting, like not really sticking around very much. And we struggled to really see a purpose behind them. I think a lot of NFT like communities and collections launched just because, not really with any kind of like backing or any real purpose. And I think we kind of saw through that and just decided not to roll with that. But it could be something we could explore in the future with as like a community kind of airdrop kind of thing. But I don't think we'd ever launch a serious NFT collection, like something that would actually have value and purpose.
Sure. Yeah, it's just so interesting to see kind of how far Solana's come from those days. It really was such like a quiet ecosystem back then, and now it's kind of one of the biggest ecosystems, if not like the most active in crypto today. So, props to you for being there through it all. It's just kind of a crazy ride. I know it's been a crazy ride for me.
Yeah, that it definitely has been. So I'm reaching out to some of these exchanges to also get in contact with them. There's a lot kind of moving on behind the scenes, but we'll get this stuff all done. So I guess for my,
I was just going to say, if anybody has them on exchanges and is listening now, as Jake said, the easiest thing to do is just pull them off exchanges and just migrate your tokens. That said, we've also and experienced it over literally dozens of different migrations now, that once the first couple of exchanges say they're going to support the migration, typically it's they're just like a herd of cats. They all do the migration. But still, for your own peace of mind, I would still pull it off and migrate yourself if possible. So just heads up there. But I would expect all these exchanges to basically support the migration.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, we have the majority of exchanges where the majority of supply is held pretty much confirmed, I think. So just waiting on people to those exchanges to announce, and we should be good to go. I think KuCoin is good to go. Mexi is good to go. LBank's good to go. They've already issued their announcement. So
yeah, Gate.
We're just waiting for them to come through, and Gate as well.
Gate, yeah. KuCoin, Crypto.com as well.
The numbers were kind of funny for like, I think it was maybe Mumu, where it was crazy. It was like they migrated maybe 35, 40% migrated, and then had like another 30% come in after the migration, which was like every exchange. It was just a tremendous amount after the migration ended. So yeah, I would expect very much the same thing here too.
Yeah, I agree. Price is also up today, so people are excited about the migration. Yeah, a lot of stuff ongoing. So I guess then, what's it been like? Trying to corral all of these holders in the MYRO community. Right, the market's kind of taking a dump, and then everyone kind of leaves. Meme coins were called dead essentially, although they're still alive and kicking, and a lot of the teams are reviving themselves through the migrations. But over the last few weeks or months since we've been in contact, what's it been like now? I see more content coming out from the account and reviving this ecosystem.
So essentially, I know we touched on this in our initial kind of meeting and phone call. I think it was me and either Jake or me and Adam. But MYRO has been largely very quiet as a community for, I'd say, the best part of a year. And that's kind of due to, first of all, the Solana meme coin market kind of not being as it was, sadly. Also just the actual general crypto market in general. But also, it's really hard to keep a project going without any real cash flow, without any real revenue coming in, or basically any funds. It was basically a handful of factors that essentially made MYRO drop so low. Essentially, sorry, my door went off. Essentially, the thing is, what happened is obviously the market went low and Solana went low, but crucially, we ran out of funds. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, we basically only have a few amount of supply. We had about 8 or 9% of supply that we had to work with, and that gets used up very quickly, very, very quickly. We had to basically be very, very careful, but we can only sustain so long with the amount of supply that we did have. But right now, this migration is absolutely perfectly aligned with the market being low. We want to catch the upside, like I explained already. But also, crucially, we get back that control. We get control of revenue from the creator fees and the LP pool. We get a good, hopefully, portion of supply to work with and use for marketing and, incentives. But, we kind of reactivate the community in this way where it's essentially like a fresh launch. Everything's fresh, everything's brand new. And I'm just really excited because I can finally get MYRO revived in the proper way that it deserves to be. And when I found out that migrate.fun was an actual thing and that, you guys have done a handful of really big projects now, I was very excited. And yeah, this is kind of just a way to bring MYRO back to life.
Yep, excited. And just so everybody understands, if this is your first time doing a migration, obviously everybody migrating is important. But the big wake up call is when that candle when the chart goes to zero, the old token goes to zero. That just wakes everybody up. Because even though, I mean, we're obviously all siloed on the timeline, most people are probably not seeing MYRO's posts about the migration, but everybody checks their wallet. And when their wallet, takes a dive to zero, that's the big wake up call. And that's when you'll see all these kind of OG holders flood back into the community and stuff saying, what the fuck, you guys rugged? And then actually it's like, no, we haven't rugged. You can still go migrate right now, which is like a big relief. And we've seen it again and again. It's just like a really nice revitalization of the community. So get excited for that because it is a big deal when that happens. And it's a big wake up call for anybody kind of holding MYRO. Definitely like get out there, tell your friends it's happening. But there will be this giant wave when that chart goes to zero of OG holders coming back in, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a blessing and a curse in the same way that the majority of MYRO holders are on CEX. The blessing is that pretty much 50% of supply is essentially almost guaranteed to return to us.
Yep.
Like I said, majority of the big holder exchanges are cooperating and supporting the migration. So we get a lot of that back. And hopefully we should be aiming for about 75% migration. But also it's quite annoying because not a lot of the MYRO holders are kind of on-chain, diehard, community members anymore. I think MYRO is one of those like sleeping, was it like what's the saying again?
Sleeping giant.
Sleeping giant or something like that. Yeah, where it's like, it's quiet, but it very much exists. And it's kind of just about, this whole migration is about reactivating the community and bringing people back together, just how it was in 2023 and 2024. And yeah, I'm just really excited to make that happen. And I think a lot of people are going to be very happy as well, seeing the value of MYRO finally increase after a very long, almost year.
Yeah, absolutely. So the goal is we got to get over 10% of the supply migrated on chain in 2 weeks so we can hit that threshold. So it's about 20% of people who are holding on chain, or the people withdraw from the exchanges to then migrate on chain. Should be fairly easy to do. But we'll continue to grind. The MYRO team's got a lot of work ahead. DMing, Adam has like a DM strategy, DMing all the people who've ever held MYRO. So probably can do that. Probably take a few days to kind of handle that, but these type of strategies work. And once you get everyone contacted, we revive this thing and begin the new meme coin season. What's your idea, or what's your thought then of all of the kind of OG meme coins migrating to Pump? Do you think that's something that can kind of unify the meme coin communities, be a little bit more collaborative and kind of all working together? Or does it become a PvP kind of ecosystem as everyone's fighting for attention and liquidity on Pump?
So the thing is, we had this kind of dilemma, and we kind of gave it a thought over a little short while. It was basically the dilemma between either we migrate to Meteora or we migrate to Pump. And I spent a lot of time thinking, and I came to the conclusion that yes, Meteora is great. Meteora is used by a lot of big meme coins, a lot of big projects. But right now, and how it's been for pretty much almost probably more than a year, all the big meme coins that really took off are on Pump. and I think it's hard to deny it. And I personally, I don't really like PumpFun coins and the kind of PumpFun, not community necessarily, but the kind of narrative and the way that PumpFun coins work, I don't necessarily align with. But we have to face it, and we have to be honest and just accept that PumpFun is the biggest place for meme coins and has been for the last year. There's no denying it, unfortunately. So, you know, we kind of have to just follow in the footsteps of other large coins like Mumu, like Michi, like Bobo. You know, we don't really want to stray afar from that and stray aside and kind of take our own path, which we could have. We could have, you know, set a different standard maybe, but I think it's a lot less risky to go through PumpFun and to kind of align with that.
Yeah, that's definitely where the attention is, for sure. It's where everybody wants to be, which is cool, right? You want to be where all the liquidity is. It's funny, we were looking at like Launchpad numbers the other day, and PumpFun is just absolutely dominating all of them. It was like I think this is on like Thursday, we were looking at it, and it was PumpFun had launched, I don't know, it was like 15,000 tokens. And then combined between the other launch pads, it was less than 1,000, which was quite wild. Crypto Effect says, will crypto.com do it? You know, we're in contact with them. They have a large amount of the supply as well. We're in contact with them. They said that they will work with us. They haven't been so responsive since then. I recommend withdrawing your tokens from the exchange. It'll take you a few minutes to do, if there's a withdrawal period, right? 30 minutes maybe. And then just do it on chain. It's the fastest. You got 2 weeks to do it. Just do it now. Save yourself some time. If crypto.com, right, they say they'll participate, then they don't, or whatever the case is, you know, then essentially you're kind of out on your tokens. So just do it now. Save yourself some frustration. And also, it's the fastest way to getting it done.
I know you mentioned that you guys are building an app, and I think you said you spent about like 100K on development for it. Maybe give us a little preview as to like what you're cooking.
Yeah, I'd love to give you a preview, but I don't have anything loaded up on my laptop at the minute. But
like
essentially,
no preview.
We spent around, I think, 110K building a social media, we call it social media app for the Solana Mobile. Well, not necessarily Solana Mobile, but mainly kind of around that Solana Mobile launch. Essentially, it was kind of asked by Raj for us to kind of build this. We kind of asked, you know, what does Raj want to see? Raj, what do you want to see us build? And he replied to a comment saying something like a mix between an NFT marketplace and like Instagram. And kind of the idea for this app was born. Pardon me. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier in terms of the way that Raj likes to shill and support projects. Is kind of indirectly, like he won't say, "Oh, I love this project. I love meme coins. I love MYRO," but he will, you know, follow an account that's related to the coin, or he'll reply to one of our comments that's unrelated to the actual coin itself. You know, in that kind of sense. But it is still being worked on currently. There's also another mobile app that we're working on, a whole bunch of stuff for once migration is all good and Gucci. So when that all goes through, we'll be announcing a lot of big stuff.
Nice. But one thing that I'd recommend is that you guys should check out one of our other products, Emblem Build, which we just launched, which is a Solana vibe coding app platform. So you can basically launch any type of vibe coded application. Calling it vibe coding doesn't really do it justice, but you can launch any type of serious application, basically from idea to application in minutes, just with typing one sentence into the AI terminal. I'm happy to give you free access if you'd like to check it out. But I mean, even if you're not going to use it for the full development of the app, it's good for ideation. It's good to tell your developers, hey, this is actually what I was looking for the inspiration or whatever. And so, yeah, if that's something you're interested in, I think you'd be doing your community a good service there.
Yeah, we want to work with a lot of the meme coin communities. We kind of have this thought, maybe I'd love to hear your opinion too, MYRO, of kind of what's next for meme coins. right? But the last few years, it's really been focused on attention, which it'll always be, right? Just the birth, I guess, or the mainstream adoption of meme coins, people creating them, cultivating communities. But kind of what is next? Does it always exist in this silo chamber of just just shilling on the timeline? Are there apps that are ever developed for meme coins to use their tokens? We just saw that PumpFun launched their PumpFun Go, which is a bounty system that you can use your tokens, right? So once MYRO is on Pump, you can use your MYRO to create a bounty on PumpFun. That's like kind of a use case for applications. And we just have this belief that we want to work with the different migrating teams and their communities to just create apps for their community in a guided experience, because you just kind of have an idea that that's next. And it seems like PumpFun is really leading that charge. But MYRO said that obviously they're developing apps and they have some surprises. But overall, what do you think's next for meme coins?
I mean, it's no denying that we're obviously in a bear market at the minute. I definitely think we're going to be in a bear market for a short while at least. But the good thing about bear markets is that a lot of real like diehard communities are built in bear markets. A lot of great products are built in bear markets. A lot of great teams are formed in bear markets. And I think that over the next few months, maybe even a year, depends how long Mr. Trump likes to be in in what he's doing, and the general crypto market as a whole. But I think that bear markets are really important for building. I love to build in bear markets. I've been around in the space for a good while, and I've experienced a good handful of bear markets. But yeah, I definitely think what's next for meme coins? Meme coins are obviously gonna be around forever. Pepe's been around forever. A lot of these Bitcoins have been around forever. Doge's been around forever. I think it's just kind of rotation. There's always going to be another huge meme coin. There's always going to be a run up. There's always going to be a bear market. There's always going to be a bull market. I just think the next coming months are going to be a real test to see which communities actually survive, which coins actually do end up building something, building a product, maybe building a real use case for them instead of just, hey, look at me, I'm a dog, which is what MYRO is. So, that's why we're focusing on building these apps and getting these, things sorted, so that once the market does turn around and start to go positive again, and once we enter a bull market or begin to enter a bull market, we can really show off these products and set ourselves apart from the rest of the competition. Not really competition, but rest of the market. And maybe even apps. If our apps are competitive, then competition of our apps.
Just build it, friends. Just build it. Getting a few people asking in the Migrate Fund DMs how to migrate their MYRO. MYRO will be posting a tutorial video shortly, so just follow or just look for the post. It will help. I think we're up to almost 10 people who've migrated now since it started. Really, it's a momentum game when it comes to migrations. So once you get the video out, once all the DMs are sent, then you see the number start going from 1% to 2% to 5%. And then you'll see a lot of other speculators come in and start buying. Because there are a bunch of people who do trade these migrations from different points. Some people will buy the migration announcement and hold through the migration, right? And then either hold forever or try to trade on the new side. Some people will buy the migration announcement and then try to time the sell for something called a migration squeeze, which is generally could happen here with MYRO, right? There's 45% of the supply on exchanges. So you already have only a float of about half. If you get, 10, 20, 30% of the total supply migrated, that means that you only have an on-chain float of, right, 20% of supply. So all you need is a few big buyers coming in, and that you could push that chart up very fast. And there are people who actively do this, but what they're looking for is signal, which means they need those numbers to increase. So that's where the challenge will come, right? Obviously, exchange announcements help and all of that such. But if you have your MYRO, make sure to do it now. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. I don't see any other questions so far, just a few that have come into the inbox for us. And I know there's like a MYRO chat or MYRO group chat. If you're not in that one, make sure you get in contact with the MYRO team to join the, I believe it's called the MYRO. What's it called? It's like the MYRO something. I forget what it's called.
It's the
yeah. What's the group chat?
The,
I know it's like
the pound, the MYRO Maxis.
The MYRO Maxis. There we go.
MYRO Max.
So somebody says, I see MFTs after migration, but the token doesn't show any dollar value. Is that normal? Yes, that is normal. MFTs have no value. They are placeholder tokens. So you'll turn in your MFTs when the migration for MYRO ends on the 22nd. So just like today, if you look at Mumu launched their migration, the early migration window. Last Monday, they finished today. They launched the new token. And now all those MFT holders are coming in to turn in the MFTs for the new Mumu token. It'll be the same process here for MYRO. Get your MFTs now, come back in 2 weeks. You'll turn it in for the new token and you'll ride the wave like your bullseye.
Get ready, guys, because the we've seen it with, was it Michi, and definitely with Bobo too. When you have this much on exchanges and you get a good migration percentage, that migration squeeze can absolutely happen. I think Michi did like a 10x the final like 48 hours. So you could definitely get some significant run-ups here. So migrate your tokens. If you don't have any tokens, buy a little bit of tokens, maybe migrate them. And pay attention, because this could get real interesting here for the MYRO migration. So very excited for this one.
Absolutely. I think we may wrap it up here if there's no other questions. It's all of it's pretty straightforward. A lot of people here on the live stream today, over 400 people checking in and out. So people are curious about MYRO, who is migrating on migrate.fun, a 2-week period. And there are people who are underway. Yeah, so you got about 0.3% of the total supply, or 0.03% is getting in. Right, they're sizing differently, or no, it's still 1 billion supply. So the ratio is 1-to-1. And MYRO, I'll pass it off to you. Any final closing statements, anything like to say to the community for these 2-week period and beyond?
Thank you, guys. Yeah, honestly, what can I say? I mean, it's definitely going to be a slow start. I'm not expecting, crazy migration percentages straight away in like in 24 hours. Obviously, the migration is part of reactivating the community and bringing everyone back together and kind of relighting that fire that MYRO had. So it's going to be a slow process at the start, but like I said, it's going to ramp up quick. And I'm really excited for what's to come after migration. We are literally going to redefine the meme coin space from at least the OG perspective. Let's call it that. Also, huge congrats to Mumu for their successful migration so far. I'm really close with those guys, and the team over there are amazing. Part of their team are also involved with helping MYRO out as well. So I do really appreciate them. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop a DM on Twitter or on Telegram. There's a handful of moderators you can message to ask about. And I'm really excited. I really appreciate you guys for all the help and all the support. And yeah, we'll talk again soon.
Awesome, guys. I just want to one note, Jake. Just anybody in the audience, you're a MYRO community member. Watch out for your friends here, because there are fake Migrate Fun accounts everywhere, scammers everywhere. Look for the badge next to the Migrate Fun account. You see Jake, myself, Adam, and Chris all have that badge. Tons of scammers. So just be aware of your friends in the replies and stuff. Give them a heads up. If they're having an issue migrating, have them DM the official Migrate Fun account. We can walk them through everything. So just be careful out there, guys.
Be careful. Migrate your tokens and come back in 2 weeks. And then the next chapter for MYRO begins. Tag Raj, that's the most bullish thing, I would say, getting him to acknowledge the migration so that all of the token holders can see. So continue to start that campaign. Everyone have a fun and safe Monday. Have a really good week. Any questions, DM the Migrate Fun account. Until then, I'll talk soon, and everybody have a good day.